Welcome to today's audio devotion by Reverend Paddy Aqua. If you love this devotion, kindly subscribe, like and share this channel. Today's topic: practice Sabbath rhythms. There remains therefore a rest for the people of God. Hebrews 4:9. One of the most countercultural acts of faith in a restless world is the deliberate practice of Sabbath rhythms. Sabbath is not merely a day off. It is a spiritual posture that declares God as the source of provision, identity, and worth. Many people are exhausted not because life is unusually hard, but because they live as if stopping would cause everything to fall apart. Sabbath confronts this fear. It asks a simple but searching question: do you trust God enough to stop? From the beginning, God built rest into the rhythm of creation. He did not rest because he was tired, but to establish a pattern for humanity. This tells us that rest is not a reward for finishing work. It is a design principle. When rest is ignored, the soul slowly rebels. Anxiety increases, joy diminishes, and spiritual sensitivity dulls. Practicing Sabbath rhythms is God's way of recalibrating the inner life, so that activity flows from peace rather than pressure. Hebrews speaks of a remaining rest for God's people, pointing beyond a literal day to a lifestyle shaped by trust. Sabbath rhythms remind us that our value is not rooted in productivity. In a culture obsessed with output and visibility, rest becomes an act of resistance. It says, "I am more than what I produce." Matthew 16:26 echoes here. What is gained by constant activity if the soul is quietly depleted? Sabbath protects the soul from being consumed by ambition and comparison. Jesus modeled this rhythm perfectly. Though demands were constant, he withdrew regularly, sometimes from crowds, sometimes even from good ministry opportunities. This was not irresponsibility. It was obedience to the Father's timing. True Sabbath is not disengagement from God's purposes, but alignment with them. When we ignore Sabbath rhythms, we often confuse urgency with importance and activity with obedience. Psalm 23:3 reminds us that God restores the soul and leads us. Leading assumes moments of stillness where direction can be heard. Restlessness often persists because life never slows down long enough for God's guidance to register. Sabbath rhythms create space for listening. They quiet the noise that drowns out God's gentle leading. Restoration rarely happens in hurry. It happens in stillness surrendered to God. Practicing Sabbath rhythms also means honoring limitations. God designed human beings with boundaries, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Ignoring those boundaries is not spiritual maturity. It is often pride disguised as dedication. Sabbath reminds us that we are creatures, not creators. When we rest, we acknowledge that the world continues without our constant management. This humility is deeply restful to the soul. Paul's prayer in 1 Thessalonians 5:23 shows that God cares about the whole person, including the body. Chronic fatigue often signals that Sabbath has been neglected. While rest alone is not a cure for every struggle, consistent rhythms of rest create space for healing, clarity, and renewal. Sabbath rhythms are not rigid rules. They are gracious invitations to live sustainably in God's presence. In practical terms, Sabbath rhythms involve setting aside regular time to cease striving, to enjoy God, and to be present. It may look like intentional quiet, unhurried worship, time in nature, or meaningful rest that reconnects you with God's peace. The form may vary, but the purpose remains the same: to remember that God is God, and you are held by Him. Today, reflect on how you relate to rest. Do you see it as weakness or wisdom? Do you stop only when forced, or do you choose to stop as an act of faith? Practicing Sabbath rhythms is not about perfection. It is about permission, giving yourself permission to rest, because God invites you to. When rest becomes a rhythm rather than an exception, peace begins to take root more deeply in the soul. Today's prayer: Father, I acknowledge that you are the giver of rest. Forgive me for the times I have lived as though everything depended on my constant effort. Teach me to practice Sabbath rhythms that honor you and restore my soul. Help me to rest without guilt and to trust you with what I release. Recalibrate my life so that my work flows from peace, not pressure. I receive your invitation to rest today and choose to live from your grace rather than striving. Amen. If you love this audio devotion, kindly subscribe, like, and share this channel. Pascaris, and God bless you.